Hello, and welcome to episode 14 of JDUB and Friends. As you can see, I have Bill the Fajita back. How you doing tonight, Bill?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for having me on the show tonight.
I'm glad to hear that. Last time you were on, we were talking about content creation. So, in the time that we've talked about that, you actually have returned to some content creation on Twitch. So, nice to have you back.
Thank you. Thank you. Feels good to be back. Taking things slow, so I'm not diving full head on in yet.
Understandable. Tonight, because of one of your last streams where you're opening the Pokemon 151 cards, I decided, you know what? Let's do a Pokemon podcast. So, as we did last time, we'll have 5 questions to start this off, just to get to know you.
Yeah, of
Now,
course.
uh, what is your favorite Pokemon card of all time?
My favorite Pokemon card of all time.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm going to turn this into a two-part answer here
Okay.
because my favorite Pokemon is
Mhm.
Zapdos. Zapdos is the homie, always has been, always will be. Now, there is a new set of Pokemon cards that came out called Pokemon 151. It is a set that features exclusively the original 151 Pokemon, as well as some characters and items from that era.
Mm.
There is a new card in that set. It is a full art Zapdos card that shows Zapdos flying around, but also in the background is Articuno and Moltres, and it's like this beautiful like sky view. It might be my favorite card right now. Uh, just it's so beautiful. It's such a cool looking card, and yeah, it's just A1.
Yeah, I seen I when I was looking up the prices and stuff like that, watching your stream, just kind of curious how much some of those cards went for. I seen that when I was like, that's a pretty card.
It's so good. That's one of the things about this new set that just came out, this 151. And, I've been out of the Pokemon trading card game for a little while.
Mhm.
So seeing the jump in quality from, when I was collecting Pokemon cards 15, 20 years ago, compared to today, it's such a huge leap in quality that it's like, oh my God, like these are so beautiful. I was getting jazzed up looking at a freaking just basic Metapod. Like what is going on in my life where I'm looking at a Metapod and I'm like, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
this is that good stuff right there.
This is just how I like this Metapod to be.
Oh yeah, harden baby, harden.
So you already said your favorite Pokemon is Zapdos.
Yes.
So would you say then that makes the second movie your favorite Pokemon movie?
You know what? You'd think it would be. You'd think
Hmm.
it would be. I think the original edges it out by like just like an inch.
Okay.
I think because I was a little bit younger when the first movie came out, I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10.
Hmm.
Um, and I I feel like that one stuck with me just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Plus that one made me cry. Like, what? What? Come on. It,
Yeah.
it had it had spoiler alert, but it had a main character death fake out, and
Mhm.
I was like 9, so never saw one of those before. And boy howdy,
Yep.
does that still get me. And then like, come on, you can't tell me, brother, my brother. Tell me what are we fighting for? You like, come on, not a dry eye
Yep.
in the house, baby. Even the Pokemon on the screen are crying during that season.
Yep. Yeah. That was what, 1999 now?
Yeah,
Phew.
something like that. Yeah, it was either 99 or 2000 for sure.
That makes me feel old.
Yeah, Jesus.
Uh, Now you played a lot of the Pokemon games on your channel,
Sure.
and Twitch. Do you have a favorite Pokemon game?
You know what? This is an answer that has changed over the years.
Mhm.
Um, I would say for the majority of the last 15 years, I probably would have said Heart Gold, Soul Silver, but I
Mm.
feel like right now it might be Emerald.
Oh,
I
really?
think Emerald might hold the crown at the moment. I've recently played through both of them within the last 2 years or so, and I I don't know, something about the vibes at Emerald just kinda hit right, so I think I'm gonna lean Emerald, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, 2nd place.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Top two,
Yeah,
top
no,
three,
not bad at all.
apparently. Now, I know my answer for this one because of gold, but what Pokemon do you hate the most? Like, it either be from the game or just from the anime, it could be from the movie, just any Pokemon you
Ooh.
hate. Mine's Miltank just because everybody knows Pokemon Gold.
Listen, Whitney's
Roll out.
Miltank is no slouch, okay?
Uh,
It's one of the first great filters of childhood video gaming,
yeah.
where it's just like, ah, man. I thought I the first time I ever fought Whitney, I rolled in with my, like, level 18 Quilava, and I was
Yeah.
like, "I got this. I'm gonna wreck normal type? No, what is she gonna Jigglypuff? This lady with a Jigglypuff? Meet Miltank.
Yeah.
It's over." Um, Hilariously enough, Whitney in the anime is so different than
Mhm.
she is in in the games.
Yeah.
She's kind of like a ditzy, low-key brain dead human being. But, my least favorite Pokemon
Mhm.
of all time.
And so the next question is which Pokemon do you hate the most? Now, personally, I am a big hater of Miltank just because of Pokemon Gold. Anybody that's played Pokemon Gold, you feel my pain. What about you, Bill? Any Pokemon that you're like, I can't stand this Pokemon?
I love that choice of Miltank. Miltank's definitely a big bully.
Very
Um,
much.
my least favorite Pokemon, I'm gonna try to keep this 151 here because 'cause I've been in that 151 vibe. Uh, my least favorite Pokemon in the original batch,
Mm,
it might be Spearow. It
really?
it it might be Spearow. I don't know. Dude's just kind of always popping up when you don't want to see him, and just kind of annoying.
Mhm.
Like Pidgey's way better. Like you wish you were Pidgey.
Yep.
You wish so hard that you were Pidgey. But yeah, no. I think it might be Spearow for me. It's There's a lot of good options. Like Mr. Mime's also. I'm just kidding. Mr. Mime is beautiful, beautiful Pokemon.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think it's Spearow.
Besides in the Detective Pikachu movie, they was just creepy at first, but he's still funny.
Genuinely, the most hilarious part of that movie was Mr. Mime's entire scene. That was just a masterclass.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. I love that movie. That was a great movie. Um, since you have seen the anime, what is your favorite episode of the anime? It can be from the first season, can be from the newest season, can be from anywhere in between. It don't matter. Just if you have an
So
episode that's always stuck on your mind.
I've only seen up through most of Johto
Okay.
in the anime. So look at me being just the most Gen 1er Pokemon player that exists. Like, look at me, I'm like Kanto. Uh, let's see. My favorite Pokemon episode ever. I mean, man, there's a lot of good ones to choose from. I I I don't want to say something classic like like Bye Bye Butterfree because I don't
Mm.
think that's really like my favorite. I I really enjoy the episode where Ash and the gang meet the ghost type Pokemon
Oh
for
yeah.
the first time. I think that's a classic. Uh, I think one of the episodes that stands out to me as a really like interesting episode with some fun trainer interactions. I love the episode where the gang meets up with this kid. I think his name is like Andy or something like that. And he's got a sand shrew. and
Yeah.
he's training this Sandshrew. He's looking to fight trainers to win his 1,000th battle before he starts his journey on taking on the Pokemon Gym Challenge. He rocks Ash's universe, and then Ash gets like a lesson in like this is what actual Pokemon training is like. And then obviously Team Rocket gets involved. It's very silly.
Mhm.
Uh, but it is just a very fun episode, and it's kind of a good early episode to showcase like there's a little bit of everything. It's silly, it's serious, it's got a Sandshrew. I mean, it's the best of everything.
Yeah, that was actually one of the ones I was thinking of right before you said it was like because that I mean I can watch that episode in my head right now just thinking about
Right.
Pikachu ends up in the little ball that he
And
uses
the
to train.
yes. So good. It's so good.
It is great. I mean that's probably one of the main ones I can think of. The other one that I was thinking of off the top of my head is the Rapidash episode where Ash helps that lady to win the race with her Rapidash, and that
Oh,
was a
that's
great
a
episode
great
too.
episode.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I mean, there's a lot of great episodes. We're old, and don't
I
feel
mean,
bad because
I
you're
I mean,
Kanto.
who can forget the Brock episode too?
Oh yeah,
Ooh, ooh, shivers, shivers.
yeah. I've only seen part of or through a good chunk of Johto. I watched a little bit of the Orange Island, so I'm kind of right there in the middle with you, where I haven't seen as much as the new Pokemon as I've seen. I haven't played past Gen 2, so oops.
That's okay. That's okay. No judgment here. You're being fully judged.
That's right. Yeah, you got that look. No,
I'm sorry. It's over.
Now we are going to talk about some Pokemon movies in the anime. So now I believe there's been 24 movies, animated movies, with one remake, which is the Pokemon Mewtwo one that they
Yep.
remade that came out in 2020, I believe.
Yeah, that one's on Netflix, I think.
Yeah. Yep. It Nothing against it. It just doesn't hit the same as the original, but that's probably because I have glasses for the original on. But
Sure, rose colored.
Doctor Detective Pikachu was the only live action one so far, but we'll see if that changes in the near future. Um, do you have any like thoughts about like any of the Pokemon movies? Do you feel like some were a lot better than others, or do you feel like you're like, oh, that was a terrible Pokemon movie?
I've actually only seen the first 3 Pokemon movies.
Okay.
So I've seen Mewtwo Strikes Back, I've seen, um, Pokemon 2000, and then I saw Pokemon the movie 3
Hmm.
with, Entei,
Yeah.
and you know what? I I actually just recently rewatched Pokemon 3 because
Hmm.
it'd been a while, and I was like, I don't remember it being as good as everyone thought it was. But I was watching it with an episode guide with
Hmm.
the anime.
Hmm.
So there's a point in the show where Ash's Charizard leaves him for a little bit to do some training in Johto with a bunch of other Charizards and some lady.
Yeah.
And during the movie, Charizard just happens to be doing his training, looks at a TV screen and sees Ash is in trouble potentially.
Hmm.
And like that scene just kind of happens, and you're like, all right, like dope shout out to Charizard just vibing. And then there's a point where Ash is falling and Charizard swoops down, and you're like, yes, this is the moment.
Yeah.
And like I popped off
Hmm.
uh so hard. It was very fun. Uh but yeah, no, it's a great first 3 movies in my opinion.
Hmm. Definitely.
What was the
I
question again?
We were just talking about the Pokemon movies and like which ones are your favorite. I guess with the first three, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. All 3
um,
of them.
yeah, I feel like because we're actually going to talk about the anime too here in a little bit that the Pokemon anime did very well fit in with the movies themselves. But like, I don't know if it's just me, but there was something weird about hearing Entei talk compared to like hearing Mewtwo talk. I don't know. That was just
Yeah,
something that.
I don't know if it's just like the change in recording technology or the fact that aside from the hype Charizard moment, the entire movie, the Entei movie, just doesn't make actual sense.
Mhm.
But it's still fun. It's
Yeah,
still fun.
I agree. I you
Just
know
don't just don't think about it.
yeah, I mean, I remember watching it and I was like, Entei speaks apparently. I mean, it was weird at
My
that point, but Mewtwo, I mean, I was like, all right, Mewtwo's, created by scientists from Mew and all that stuff. It makes sense that he can talk. And then I was like, huh.
my biggest question mark about that movie is now spoiler alert, but in that movie, the 20-year-old movie,
Right.
uh this little girl basically creates this world in her mind
Mhm,
through the power of the Pokemon Unknown. And the Unknown, there it's a group of like, I don't know, 1,000 of them. And they're almost acting as like an imagination supercomputer. And she creates Entei with her mind.
mhm,
And at some point in the movie, her emotions get the best of her and the unknown start acting erratically. And despite being a creation of the unknown and technically a figment of her imagination, Entei holds fast as like a character that is not erratic during the ending
mhm,
scene. And I'm like, why is Entei not bugging out the way the unknown are? He's just a product of the unknown.
mhm.
This makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Shut up, Bill. This is a children's movie. It doesn't have to make sense. It looks cool, and he's fighting Charizard. That's rad as heck." And I'm like, "All right, you're right."
Right. Yeah, I always thought the unknown were such a weird Pokemon. It was like, how can we make a unique idea but make it like terrible at the same time? Hello,
It,
unknown.
yeah, I wish Unknown was a more usable Pokemon.
Hmm.
I totally get that.
Yeah, might be the worst of Gen 2 in my opinion. Him and Girafarig. A lot of people like Girafarig, but
I
uh
think Draft Freak's all right,
yeah.
but yeah, I can see Unknown being a Pokemon that people are not super in love with.
Yeah, very true. Do you now for people who saw the original 3, did you have a favorite free movie?
Oh, you know what? It's gotta be. I think it's just the first one,
Okay.
just Pikachu's Vacation.
Yeah.
It's just adorable. It is very reminiscent of the episode in Pokemon where they everybody gets stranded on the island of giant Pokemon.
Yep.
Where enemies become friends, friends become enemies. We're
Mhm.
all working together to not get got in this big scary world, and I think it's just they did a good job, and it's very cute.
Yeah. I remember watching that for the first time and being like, where are all these Pokemon I've never seen before? Like, Snubble and
Right.
Togepi and all this other stuff. It was like, this is weird. Where are they coming from? And then
By the way, Snubble in the anime,
yeah.
uh, top 10 hilarious moment. That Pokemon gets punted, just like genuinely like punted by multiple people. And it's like first couple episodes of its existence, and it's just so silly to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I was Snubble, I think I liked a lot better in the anime than in the video games. That's just me though.
It's
I feel like
fair.
Snubble was not as good. Speaking of the anime, what I guess iconic part things you remember? I know we talked about a couple in the questions earlier, like there was, Gary obviously showing up for the first time. I feel like that's kind of iconic. Um, there's obviously spoiler alert for anybody that's not seen 20-year-old anime now, but Butterfree leaving was pretty, tear jerking.
Devastating.
Yeah, Bulbasaur,
Mhm.
Squirtle Squad. I mean, there's a few, but like, which ones kind of stuck out to you when you're watching the anime for the first time that still have stuck with you to this day?
I mean, I mean, I think Pikachu's goodbye is just
Mhm.
absolutely an insane episode.
Mhm.
In retrospect, it is so wild that they're like, you know what? Not only are we going to put out a banger song,
Mhm.
you know, the episode building up this, we're gonna be saying goodbye to Pikachu,
Yeah.
and then at the last second they're like, why would we do that? Stupid. Obviously, Pikachu's gonna be hanging out here for the next 25 years.
Right.
You bozos. And again, 10-year-old me, never been debated before in my life. Absolutely in shambles, just devastated.
Do you remember the episode where they fight Lieutenant Surge for their first time? And
Oh man, Lieutenant Surge. They gave him the most ridiculous, like Brooklyn accent.
yep.
Just, hey there, Raichu, do your thing. I'm like, alrighty, man. Like,
Yep.
uh, very fun episode.
Yeah.
The scene where Ash is trying to put the Thunderstone on Pikachu and he keeps slapping it away with his tail. It's genuinely one of the silliest and lighthearted moments in the show.
Can we talk about how that kind of doesn't make sense though, if we think about it looking back? Because like, all right, if you put the if you touch them with the stone, they're supposed to evolve.
I
Pikachu's
so
touching with his tail.
I think there has to be an element, and they kind of explain this in the show a little bit, but it has to be a two-sided transaction. Pokemon's all about consent.
Yeah.
And if the Pokemon doesn't want to evolve with the stone, then it can will itself out of evolving with the stone.
Mm.
I'm sure there's, you know, elements in the anime where it absolutely undoes what I just said. But in that moment of that episode, that was the premise. I'm sure there's episodes where Team Rocket's just like, we got a bunch of stones. Now let's evolve a bunch of dummy Pokemon into some dummy thick Pokemon and run this town. And
Yeah.
I mean maybe those Pokemon are down to clown. So who am I
Who
to
knows?
judge?
Now, another thing that people in the anime I thought was always funny is that when Gary runs into Ash at one point, he has 10 badges, even though there's only 8 gyms or in the games anyway. In the anime, I think they
Things
had a
that
few
we know
more.
about.
Yeah.
I think in the anime, at least during the Indigo League,
Mm.
there is some semblance of there are probably more than just 8 gyms, but you only require 8 to compete in the Indigo League.
Yeah.
And uh I'm sure that's been since retconned, but I feel like Kanto is a much bigger place than
Mm.
it is in the games. And we know that for sure because, like, I mean, granted, I don't know what's considered like filler and what's not
Right.
in the Pokemon universe, but at least in the anime. But I mean, there are so many towns that are visited in the show that don't exist in the games,
Yeah.
just to kind of make it this like more fleshed out world. And you have to assume they're not just hitting every single town in every single country they go to. That is a hilariously psychotic journey, if that is the case.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'd been cool even with the remakes, like if actually I don't know if the Switch would be able to do this or not, but like having all the different towns that Ash visited in the anime, like be able to be actually go through those in the video, like if they remade Red, Blue, and Yellow again, kind of let you go
Right.
through all those towns, and I think it could Switch can handle it, but who knows?
Listen, I'm kind of low key hoping for a remake of like Fire Red Leaf Green.
Mhm.
We haven't been to the Sevi Islands in 20
Yeah.
years, guys. What's going on?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Sevi Islands were different. Definitely cool. Orange Islands, I don't think we've been to yet, still, which is nuts. But
Right.
I just feel like they maybe need to get to that point eventually. But what do I
Someday.
know? No,
Someday.
yeah. Now, let's see, Gen 2 of Johto. I mean, they I Johto, I don't remember as much of the episodes as I do Kanto, which is so weird. But I remember the song was a banger for Johto. I remember that.
Hmm.
But Kanto, can I mean Kanto's always going to be the best, but just because it's the original song and they were kind of hitting their spot. And then they had all those who's that Pokemon type, stuff that was going on then. Just everything was so cool, and I don't know. But it has, 20 years earlier from when we finished watching Kanto, who would have expected that Ash would finally win a championship after 20 plus years?
Right?
Like nuts. Now it seems weird to have him actually win one and then have to go out and, defend or whatever he's doing nowadays. But
Right. Ah, yeah, who knows?
yeah. Now, speaking of anime, I'm going to kind of segue into video games, but I'm actually surprised because I believe, have you played the Pokemon XD or Coliseum games?
Love them, yeah.
Now, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't connected Mirror B into the anime yet, from what I've seen. I feel like he's a
Yeah, no, I that's a
great
good point.
character. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, I haven't played XD and Coliseum because I got my GameCube kind of late, and
Right.
by the time I got my GameCube, those games were expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you
Um,
oh, go ahead.
oh, no, I was just gonna say, yeah, I wish I had any of those games, but I just don't.
Yeah. Now, yeah, Mirror B was definitely iconic. From what I watched, Chuck Conroy
Oh, yeah.
play it a few times. So,
Yeah,
I was like,
Mirror B is absolutely iconic.
yeah. I mean, he just seems like a perfect, even just like a little, filler episode or something like that, where Ash needs to beat him to get to certain location or something like that. That'd be kind of cool for Mirror B, but I feel like they didn't set him up much. But let's see, how many of the Pokemon games have you played, would you say, besides the main? I mean, I know
Um,
probably the main stretch you
outside
played
of
all
the
of them.
main one, all of them.
Hmm.
Everything but maybe Pokemon Ranger.
Okay.
But I've played darn near every other Pokemon game that exists.
Yeah, about to
So,
say now there was what Detective Pikachu. That was one of the spin-offs. There's what were the other one? The Mystery Dungeons. I don't even know how many of those are now.
oh, you know what? I haven't really played Mystery Dungeon that much, so
Yeah,
call that a miss on my part.
the original one I think just got remade a couple of years ago, so
That's right.
that's out. So I'm gonna try that one out. But I mean, there's Pokemon Stadium 2, the trading,
Yep.
was it Pokemon trading card game, TCG?
The trading card, which just came out on the Switch, actually, it got a re-release through their
Wow,
the Switch Online. You can play the OG.
man, that was
So
that
that's
was
been pretty
different.
fun.
Yeah, that was definitely a different game. I remember watching that a couple times, going, "What in the world is going on?"
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Because I had never played the Pokemon game or a card game, so I was just sitting there like, what? I mean, I collected them, obviously. Well, I wish my collection's not with me, but I definitely have a big collection. But do you um, do you think they should bring out another Pokemon card game?
So there is an unreleased in America sequel to
Okay.
the Pokemon trading card game. There is a sequel that came out in Japan, and it's kind of got like a Team Rocket type element to it.
Hmm.
So that's one that I've wanted to play. It's more story driven than the previous TCG game, and that game definitely is not as story driven if you've played it. It's very just go fight all these people and win or die. Those are your options.
Makes perfect sense. Sure. Do
Yeah.
you now XD Coliseum, those two were kind of the first. I would say they're more, I mean, I get I they at the time they were more open world than the original Pokemon games kind of were. Because it was like Pokemon games are like, go to this city, fight the gym leader, or do this little side thing that you need to do to get to the gym, and then just keep going to each town. I feel like when XD and Coliseum came out, it was more like, go to this location, but then you have to capture these shadow Pokemon, which I remember that, and
You know what?
do this other stuff.
I don't know that I would call them open world.
Mhm.
I would actually argue games like Pokemon Red and Blue are more open world technically uh
Yeah.
than the GameCube spin-offs.
Mm.
I would say that they are a much more narrative driven
Yeah.
experience, and I think that's why a lot of people really appreciated it
Mm.
because it definitely had a much more um first of all, it was Pokemon's first foray into 3D.
Yeah.
And then second of all, it was a story-driven Pokemon, which is very cool in and of
Mhm.
itself.
Yeah.
And let's be real, both of those games had the GOAT, Mirror B.
Yep. Now, do you think they should bring out another one, or you think that the newer games kind of do what those two games did, but better?
Uh, I think if a new one were to drop today, people would lose their minds,
Yeah.
and correctedly so. Like, I think that is if that were to happen, I too would be pretty darn jazzed.
Yeah, I definitely actually believe way back in the day that Battlon actually played it with you on his channel for a minute. One of the I
Oh,
think
we played both of them, I believe.
XD. Yeah. Okay.
Definitely Pokemon XD.
Yeah. Yep. Because I'm
I remember for sure that one was a lot of fun.
Yep, I remember that one. I distinctly remember watching you guys play because what was her name? Jovi. Y'all had
Jovi
her.
was in Jovi was in the first
Was she in
game.
Coliseum? Okay, Coliseum. Yep, I
She
always
was
mix that up.
because she always got in the dang way.
Yeah.
Like Jovi, get out of the way. You are because she took up physical space and
Mhm.
she could like block you
Yep.
if you got stuck somewhere. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I just think the reason I remember Jovi so well is because you guys always called her Bon Jovi, and then for some odd reason she had a smoker's voice.
Oh, her name is Bon Jovi, okay, and she's
Yeah.
ready to ruin your entire career.
Yep, exactly. That made me laugh so hard when you guys used to do that all the time. But yeah, I would like to see what they can do with the new Pokemon. I mean, the new Pokemon games that came out recently, they've done a little bit more kind of going outside the realm of, go to the gym, fight the gym, do all this other stuff. But I remember what was it, Black and White when those first two came out, they were like, yeah, we're not too happy with these because that was the first time they kind of forced you to use the Pokemon from that generation before you could use any other Pokemon from any other generation. I think a lot of people were upset about that, but the stories
Yeah,
were
I
good with them
agree.
though. Now, do you have a favorite story from the Pokemon games?
Um, a favorite story. Uh, man, this is that's a toughie. A favorite story in a Pokemon game. I mean, it might be Coliseum.
Mhm.
I mean, none of the Pokemon stories are really that deep.
Right.
Uh, Black and White was pretty good with N.
Mhm.
Uh, but otherwise, yeah, maybe Coliseum and Gale of Darkness may have
Yeah.
been my favorite stories, even though they're not even that deep either.
Mhm. Now, was it was Ruby and Sapphire were the first ones that really tried to do the story-driven game, right? If I remember right. 'Cause they
Um,
Or was
wait,
that
say that one more time.
was it Ruby and Sapphire? I think it was Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald that tried to do kind of more story driven, where they were like,
I
"Hey,
mean,
we want more land because of this, or we want more water because
I
of
mean,
this," and
I mean that's Team Rocket slander, and I am not here for that. Because I would argue that gold and silver definitely were much more narrative heavy in compared to red and blue.
yeah.
And I would say that they were probably the first story
Mhm.
Pokemon that really had like a cohesive story outside of collect the gym badges. I
Mhm.
mean, red and blues was pretty thinly veiled, and it was just kind of like, whoa, you just happened to be here doing some stuff. But uh, silver and gold really tied that together.
Mhm.
I did think that Ruby and Sapphire's story was definitely more involved for
Mhm.
sure. Uh, and it was a lot of fun. And I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I remember, you know, playing Pokemon Gold out in I played Gold first because I have silver. My sister had silver, and I got silver later on because I was trying to go through and collect all of them again. And
Yeah.
I remember being so confused because I'm like, all right, Giovanni, we beat Giovanni at the end of the first one, as the eighth gym leader. Spoiler alert, sorry.
How
Um,
dare you?
in, in Pokemon Yellow, anyway, he was the last gym leader, and the other two is Blue, I believe, right?
Um,
Red
he-
and
Gia, in let's see, in red and blue, it was still Giovanni.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because I know at one point it was like, hey, oh, it's Blue
In
and Gold and
in
Silver. That's right.
in fire red and leaf green, I think it's also.
Mhm.
It actually might also be Giovanni in fire red leaf green too.
Yeah, yeah, I remember being blown away when they said, "Oh, Giovanni's the leader." I'm like, "What? Giovanni's the last gym leader?" But yeah, I
He was
remember.
he was the bad guy the whole time.
Right. Yep. Now, the Elite Four in the first game gave me the hardest time out of any of the Elite Four that I've played so far, which I've only played one and two was ridiculously easy in my opinion. I didn't feel like.
Two's definitely easier, especially since the levels are lower.
Mhm. Yeah, because
So,
I feel like they like Lorelai in the first one.
Lorelei definitely was
Oof,
a toughie.
hated it, hated it. She was like, I like, all right, she has water type Pokemon. My grass should type should be
Lorelei
good.
just looked at you and she's just like, "Oh, so it's a skill issue, is what you're saying."
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
You're
yeah.
like, "I'm freaking 7 years old. What are you talking about? Obviously, it's a skill issue. I am a child."
Yep. I remember when I was growing up, 'cause I didn't know, the strengths of some Pokemon. Like I was like, oh, this Pokemon will be good just because, I
Also in
got
red
them
and
early.
blue, like that didn't even translate to 100% accurate anyway.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, because I remember my team in blue was freaking. I had a Farfetch'd on there because I thought Farfetch was the
Sucks.
coolest. Yeah, I thought Farfetch was the coolest, and I think I ended up with who was the other one? Oh, I can't think of the other Pokemon I had, but it was not like great. I mean, Clefable I had because Clefable had a metronome and could basically do anything I wanted to do. But
Yeah.
the rest of my team wasn't great. But did you have a starter that you kind of chose every time you played first one, or you kind of like, I'll just try different
Um,
Pokemon.
I've definitely played Gen 1 with all 3 different starters.
Mhm.
My favorite Gen 1 game is actually Pokemon Yellow, though.
Yeah,
It's I mean, Pikachu's the GOAT, let's be real.
yeah. I'm surprised it took them until Pokemon Let's Go Eevee to actually have Eevee as one of the starters. Is that
Yeah, that was actually a really fun, like, nod to Pokemon Yellow to
Mhm.
have Eevee there.
Yeah, because
Uh,
Eevee was supposed to be the big one, besides Pikachu was supposed to be like one of the first Pokemon, I guess, released or something like that. They said.
I will say it was a huge miss when I learned that you couldn't evolve the Eevee.
Yep.
I was like, "Come on, man. Come on, man.
Yep.
I thought we were on the same page here."
Yep. The only way you could evolve your Pikachu in the first game was to trade it away and then trade it back.
Yeah, but you could teach it surf and or fly,
Yep.
which was really sick.
Yeah.
Surfing Pikachu and flying Pikachu, icons, baby,
Oh,
icons.
definitely. Now, now we've talked about the games, talked about anime and the movies. What about I mean, obviously you probably have your Pokemon. You have Pokemon cards now. Did you
Yeah.
always collect them, or was it kind of something that you started after you watched the anime and playing the games and stuff like that? And you're like, I want to get some of the Pokemon cards.
I mean, like, Pokemania was a thing growing up, right?
Definitely.
I
Yeah.
mean, people lost their minds for Pokemon, and my household was really no different. Growing up, getting like the Burger King toys
Yep.
and collecting the Pokemon cards. It was also during like the advent of eBay, and I remember my dad used to like bid on some cards
Hmm.
because we were trying to complete the original set,
Yep.
and we ended up completing the original set, but like we got some cards from eBay, and I remember like coming home from school and my dad would surprise my sister and I with packs of cards, and it was uh just a really good family bonding moment too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I remember when you were talking about Burger King where they had the freaking Pokeball and then you open the Pokeball up and they had the freaking
the
gold
gold,
plate card.
yes, the gold plated card or whatever they technically called it.
Yep. And we didn't think they were worth anything, but now they're worth a lot of money because they're so rare.
And they're sick.
Yeah, that too. I wish I still had some of my eyes. Don't know where they're at.
You don't know where they're at. How do you lose track of those? Those are like the most
Oh, I
important
know.
things that a child could own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably somewhere. I just haven't found them in a while. But yeah, I remember those were big when we were growing up. It was there was other Pokemon things they had. They had the Pokemon banks. I remember those.
Yep.
I forget which
There's
Pokemon
a
it was
Pokemon
though.
board game.
Yep. Yeah, Pokemon
Pokemon
was
board
the
game was
best.
pretty wild.
Yeah. I do you think anything was as big as Pokemon in the 90s?
I mean, tough to say, but it's the answer's got to be no.
Yeah. That's what I would think too. I mean, I was trying to think. I'm like, yeah, Digimon didn't hit their stride. I mean, they were big, but they weren't as big as Pokemon. But hot take, Digimon is a great show and everybody should watch it. And the
Oh,
movie was amazing too.
the movie has uh, an S tier soundtrack.
Oh, definitely. Bare naked ladies in a
The Mighty
kids
Mighty
movie.
Boss Tones. Are you kidding me? Just
uh,
insane.
yeah, yeah, I collected a lot of them. I collected do you remember the Tops cards they had? The ones that
The
had
Pokemon
the
top cards that
Yep.
had like the TV show stills.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
those were sick.
And then they had the ones that you had the Pokemon on the front of it. You could see like they had the Pokemon from the anime, and then on the backside had the information and it told you what the first episode they had of each Pokemon was. Those were kind of cool too.
Oh, those were super cool. Are you kidding me?
Did you have any or what was your actually because I remember boosters were they had all the different booster packs. They had the fossil. Oh shoot, I forget all the other ones. There were so many.
You had Fossil, you had Jungle,
Yep.
you had like the base set.
Yeah.
Um, then you had like Team Rocket, you had like the gym leaders.
Mm. Did you have a favorite pack?
Um, I really liked the Fossil set. I thought it was a lot of fun. Uh, plus, I'm pretty sure the Fossil packs had your boy Zapdos
Yeah.
on the cover, so anything with the Zapdos involved, and I am in.
And like yeah. Yeah, I think I was more Fossil too. I just thought Fossil was kind of cooler and then, there was all different ones, but did you ever pull any like, oh my goodness, this amazing card? Like I know a lot of people when I was growing
I
up,
mean,
pulled
like,
out Charizard.
I still have, you know, Charizard
Yeah.
from my childhood, so I don't think anything will beat pulling a Charizard,
Mhm.
like, especially in that, like, '90s era.
Oh yeah.
Like, such a like, what a card. Imagine, like, going to school and being like, "Yeah, so I got a Charizard yesterday."
Yep.
Like, there's no bigger flex as a 6th grader than being like, "You know what? This is how my life is going." "Oh, your family visited Paris that last summer? Well, my family got a Charizard, so I actually won?
Yeah.
Uh, ya bozo."
Yeah, I remember never getting one, but I remember everybody at school wanted to trade Pokemon cards because that was like the big thing. And then you have people trading this. They forget what Pokemon was, but it was one of the ones that everybody thought was really, really cool, but it was not like worth anything. And it was like really one of the commons. And they're like, I want this Pokemon. They trade it for one of the
Oh
Raichus
my
that
gosh.
wasn't even the one of the rare Raichus cards.
Yeah. I remember, so Pokemon cards got banned in my school
Yeah.
when I was younger, because the school personnel were jerks and they were considered distractions.
Yeah.
Rude. Um, but like I remember, like I got to a point where I was trading Pokemon cards for real life things. Like I remember I traded as a kid an Alakazam card for a copy of Final Fantasy II on the Super Nintendo. I still think I won that trade.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, which ironically is Final Fantasy IV for everybody that wasn't alive in the 90s and didn't know how Final Fantasy actually counted all their games, which is way weird.
True.
We got
True.
we got 1, 2, and 3, but it was really 1, 4, and 6. I
Right. Right.
was like, what? Why? And then they even better than that, then they throw out the ones, what was it, Final Fantasy Adventure and all that stuff, which wasn't even a Final Fantasy game. It was just named that because of Final Fantasy name and made so much money. 90s were a weird
Right.
time.
The '90s were a weird time.
Do you still, I mean, uh off the top of your head, how many cars do you think you have nowadays?
Oh, geez, I couldn't tell you. I have a handful of binders full,
Oh wow,
so
yeah.
maybe a couple thousand.
Any that you've like went, oh man, if I would have kept this card when I was growing up and not traded it away, I would have had some extra cash right now.
Uh, you know what? I there's some cards that I don't think I don't have any like cards that got away
Mhm.
type situations that I can really remember. Like I was pretty good about like holding on to like really good cards. Plus, like, with the completed set, it's like I can't break up a completed set.
Yeah,
So so I have the first 3 sets complete, and I just there's no shot I'm gonna be getting rid of them anytime soon.
makes total sense. Yeah, I something about like having the cards from your childhood just, you know,
Yeah.
crazy. Like I remember getting so many. Like I know they were supposed to be ultra rare, whatever Raichus, but I kept getting all the Raichus that were supposed to be the most expensive ones.
Mhm.
And I haven't sold any of them because I was like, screw it. It's my favorite Pokemon for one, and then it's just had them. I opened them all when I was a kid, and it was you know
Exactly.
totally
It's like you can't break your childhood like that.
no, no, yeah. It's like no, I can't sell that now. If I got a Charizard nowadays, from back in the '90s, I'd be selling that one right now.
Possibly. Yeah.
I mean, those are worth some good money right now compared to what you know. I mean, they were worth a lot of money in the '90s, but like nowadays, I'd be like, well. I gotta pay for a wedding. I gotta pay for bills. I gotta pay for that. Pay for this. Now it's like,
Right.
but do you? Do you think that the Pokemon as a whole has kind of slowed down, or you think it's still as strong as it once was?
Oh, it's stronger now than it ever was.
Yeah.
I mean, the cards are still clamored over like crazy.
Hmm.
The games are bigger now than they ever were. You know,
Yeah.
there's a bigger fan base now than there was 25 years ago.
Very
So
true.
it is not only surviving, but it is thriving. Uh,
Now,
yeah.
okay. Do you now I don't remember how many people remember this. I know me and Bill will definitely remember this, but when we were kids, you had to go to Toys R Us for certain things because the games didn't come with Mew. The Gen 2 didn't come with Celebi. I forget who the Gen 3 like couldn't get without the,
Jirachi.
yep, Jirachi. Yeah, that's right. And you had to go to Toys R Us as a kid to grab the Pokemon. But unless you were a cheater like me in Gen 1, where yeah.
Wow, a cheater.
Yep, just get Mew. I got Mew without, having to go Toys R Us.
Mhm.
But uh I I mean, I think they still technically do it, but it's not um Toys R Us anymore, obviously. But I think they were still doing some like the DLC stuff where, well, it wasn't DLC, it was still, you had to download it, go to, I think it was GameStop actually started it for a little bit after Toys R Us went out of business.
Yeah.
Because I remember who was it? You had to, if you went to Toy or GameStop on a certain date, you got one of the legendaries, and I forget which one it was. It was like one of the first ones. I
You
can't
know
think of who it
what?
was.
Believe it or not, I never went to one of those events.
Yeah.
Never, yeah, never got any of those special Pokemon. Just I don't know why, like they just never really super appealed to me. So I never went out of my way to get them.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Since we are talking about some of the legendaries, did you have a favorite legendary? I mean, besides
It
Zapdos.
besides Zapdos. Ooh, this is a tough one. You see, this is a tricky situation because there's a lot of good ones out there, and I think it's Galarian Zapdos. Obviously, come on, man.
Right?
But if Galarian Zapdos is also off the table, it's tough to say no to Mewtwo. I think
Yeah.
Mewtwo is just so cool.
Yeah, Mewtwo's really iconic. In the movies, in the games, the anime, just iconic. Ironically, the
Yeah.
first I how many people I don't know have seen the anime. The first Pokemon, or maybe the second Pokemon that Ash sees is actually a Ho-Oh from the second generation, from Pokemon Gold. He sees up in the sky. It's
Right.
weird to see legendary from Gen 2 when it's not even Gen 2 yet. It's still basically episode 1 of Gen 1, which was so weird.
Yeah,
But
it's pretty sick that they thought I had to do something like that.
yeah. Now, do you think there was any gens that did terrible with the legendaries?
Gens that did terrible with their legendaries. Um, I'm gonna say if I had to pick a generation whose legendaries I probably loved the least,
Mhm.
uh, I'm gonna catch some heat for this, but I didn't care too much for Gen 6.
Okay.
Uh, Going off of their legendary Pokemon, like you had like Hoopa and Volcanion,
Yeah.
which were like fine. Yveltal, Zygarde, and Xerneas are all sure. Yep, they're there. Uh,
Yeah.
and then Diancie, whatever. Um, yeah, I think Gen 6 probably had the weakest group of legendary Pokemon, in my opinion.
Yeah. I feel like at I don't I think was it Gen, it might have been actually Gen 6 when they just started throwing legendaries at the wall. There were so many of them at one point. It was like Gen 1 had, basically what, 4, 5, I guess, because if you count
They
Mew.
had right, if you count Mew,
Yeah.
for sure. Um, I feel like Gen 5 had a lot of them.
Yeah.
Gen 5 had a lot of them, I think,
Yeah,
because
because
they
what
had like the dogs, they had the weather boys,
yeah.
they had the box arts, and by dogs, I guess I mean deer.
Yeah. Yeah, which was a weird option, a weird choice too. I never understood that one.
Yeah,
Well, then the Reggies were in Gen.
Reggies were Gen 3.
Okay, yep. Which that was they were cool enough that they kind of separated from the other weather guys. Well, I
Yeah,
mean water and
they're yeah, they were pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, I remember. I think there was a lot of stuff from from our Pokemon childhood that I really enjoyed. I mean, Gen 2 movie with the second movie with right or with the legendary birds and have Lugia pop up for the first time that you had
King.
seen. Yeah, Slow King was so cool. I don't
Oh
remember.
yeah,
I was like, well, I mean, there's another Pokemon that could talk, but it was like cool because it was like he can talk through his psychic telepathy.
yeah, yeah. Very very cool.
And I was just like, I'm blown away by all these Pokemon. It was just Pokemon,
Plus he
Pokemon,
was a
Pokemon.
brand new Pokemon, so it was like,
Yeah.
whoa, this guy's new as heck.
Yep. Yep. Now, I guess one more question I'll ask you. What do you think of Pokemon Go when they first brought that out? Do you think it's
When it first came out, I was addicted.
Mhm.
Straight up, for the first maybe like 2 years of it existing, I played it just about every single day, and I played it religiously.
Yeah.
Um, Now, like I fell off maybe once like Gen 3 started coming around,
Hmm.
but I spent a lot of time playing those first few, and it was a lot of fun.
Were you a which team did you choose?
Believe it or not,
Mhm.
not Team Instinct, which is the Zapdos team. I actually went with Team Mystic,
Okay.
just because I didn't want to stare at something yellow the entire time.
Hmm.
And I was like, God, I don't want to look at the color yellow all day. So I was like,
Yeah.
all right, let's go with something blue here.
Yeah.
And we're gonna be Team Mystic.
Yeah. I instinct. I feel bad for Zapdos because I think that was the worst of the three teams. Is instinct. I just
They
feel
did
like
Zapdos dirty there for
yeah.
sure.
I was a Valor guy, so I had Moltres,
You
but
would have been. You would have been.
yeah, it was just I don't know. It was just kind of I knew a lot more people that were in Valor, and I was like, well, this is kind of cool, And then I remember when it first came out, everybody was downtown in my home city. We were, you walk up and down the road and find everybody and try and catch them all. But yeah, it definitely fell off a little bit because not as many people play it now. There's so many other options out there now, like Harry
Sure.
Potter. Harry Potter just came out with one. Uh, I forget all the other. I think there's another one
Th-
coming out pretty
There
soon.
was a Pikmin one for a little while.
Yeah, yeah, Pikmin, which I that one, I don't know how I felt
I
about that
played
one.
it for about a 2 week window, and it just didn't feel the same.
Yeah, yeah, it. I don't know. It just there's so many of them now coming out. It's just like they're the same thing. But
Right.
but I do want to thank you for being on this episode with me. Pokemon's a big thing in both of our lives. I mean, I know I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of it, and you
Thank
were.
you for having me.
Hey, no problem. Now, are you, because I know you were talking, or you're obviously back on Twitch, at Bill the Fajita on Twitch.
Yes.
Also, I think Bill the Fajita on Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter. It's not X, it's still Twitter. I don't care.
Still Twitter.
Are you back doing games of our lives yet?
Not yet. Not
Okay.
yet. My co-host is in the middle of a big move, so once that's settled down, I think we're gonna work on getting some of that going. So that'll be very exciting.
That'll be nice. Yeah, do you now those now hypothetically speaking, when you get started again, where can people find your podcast?
So Games of Our Lives is a podcast where my friend Matt and I talk about the video games of our youth that made us who we are today. We also pepper in a couple of new games. I
Mhm.
have a feeling the game we're going to talk about when the show comes back is going to be a game that was launched this year that is a love letter to one of our favorites, Chrono Trigger.
Oh,
Um, and it is available on Apple, it's available on Spotify,
okay.
and we also upload the episodes to YouTube. Uh,
Okay.
and it is the games of our lives.
Now, since I'll ask you, since with Games of Our Lives, what do you consider the biggest game of your childhood that made you who you are?
Mario RPG.
Okay,
It's Mario RPG for me, yeah.
I
Uh,
understand that.
and so excited for the Mario RPG remake coming out next month. Gonna
Hmm.
be fantastic.
Yeah, from what I watched of the trailer, I was like, this is really cool. But yeah, like he said, if you want to listen to, do you still have the episodes up right now on
Yeah,
Games of Our
I
Lives?
have not taken them down. They
See,
are still up. So if you wanna give the show a listen, there's about 30 some odd episodes that are out right now.
that's a lot of episodes,
So
guys.
yeah. And
Yep.
each episode is a different game. So
Okay. That's a talented way of doing it. I would never thought of that. I've been like, oh, what are we gonna talk about? Yeah, I think this year definitely some of the games that that'll be in my life are gonna be Spider-Man 2, obviously, because
ooh,
it's
yeah. Have you
incredible.
started playing that one yet?
Nope, I still have to with a wedding, everything's too expensive.
That's fair. That's fair.
I still got to play Miles Morales, but I'm gonna get to pretty soon too. I might end up getting Miles Morales too. It's at the pawn shop down the road for me for 20 bucks. So I'm gonna pick it up. But
Oh, there you go. Nice, nice.
yeah, definitely check out Bill. He's a great streamer, great friend, just great all around guy. Definitely gonna
About to
have
hit you with that Uno reverse card.
definitely have to follow him on every social media he has. He's funny. You can read his tweets. Some of them are really great. It's definitely he's a Seahawks fan, which this year we play the Seahawks and we're gonna beat them, but he doesn't know it
Apologies in
yet.
advance that whoa, 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 whoa. The Eagles' record against the Seahawks over the last Pete Carroll era.
Mhm.
What's that record?
It's not great, I'll tell you that much.
I think the Eagles are winless against Pete Carroll in
Yeah,
the Pete Carroll Seattle era, and it
yeah,
ain't gonna change this year, brother. This actually the Seahawks are pretty mid, so you guys will
yeah,
probably win. Uh,
yeah, yeah. We gotta talk about the Seahawks and Eagles when we have that game. Definitely do a
that's
podcast that
that's
episode.
listen. If I'm around, I'm down.
Sounds good to me. Well, thank you all for watching this episode. I'll put all of Bill's stuff that you can follow him on in the description down below. I'm sorry, my brain went, what is that called? So, thank you again, Bill, for coming on this episode. And thank you all for watching. And have a great rest of your night.
Hi everyone.